welcome to Mixed Videos Online 2023. When the ship discovered Shockwave in the Savage Land, Grimlock was dominant on the Ark. The Dinobots equipped Grimlock and his 4 allies with different forms based on the surrounding flora, and they engaged Shockwave in combat until they became stuck in a tar hole. Ratchet found where they were in the present. As soon as Grimlock and Optimus Prime started sparring, Grimlock and his group decided to leave the Autobots. After Prime passed away, Grimlock came back to claim the leadership position and demonstrated his value by leading the Autobots in battle against Trypticon. Grimlock was unfortunately power corrupted, and he lived true to the name of his alternate form by building a variable voltage harness to torment defectors like Blaster and engaging in combat with Fortress-led Nebula's Autobots. After Starscream's underbase fueled Rampage, Grimlock was deactivated, but Ratchet reactivated him as a pretender to fight Megatron. Grimlock was shocked to discover himself at the center of Cybertron, where Primus was after fighting the Mayhem attack squad. Primus was awakened when an Octopunch blast meant for Grimlock struck him instead, letting Unicron know that he was there. Grimlock joined the effort to find the Matrix of Leadership after coming back to Earth and alerting Prime. He loaded up on Nucleon during this time, which reduced his ability to change but gave him a stronger body. Grimlock served as the Autobot leader once more following Prime's sacrifice to vanquish Unicron. He engaged in a devastating fight on the planet Clo with Bludgeon's troops. Surprisingly, Prime came back with the last Autobot, who revived the dead Autobots and put a stop to the conflict. Grimlock was one of several Autobots working as the Ark's crew under Jetfire's direction. The Ark discovered Soundwave when it hit Earth and converted Grimlock and 3 other people into Dinobots. The Dinobots quickly located Soundwave, but he proved to be too strong for them until Grimlock used his cunning to bring down the neighboring cliff, taking everyone offline. Grimlock was enlisted by Starsaber as support in a fight against Deathsaurus. While Starsaber watched, delighted with the conclusion of his cunning scheme, Grimlock gnawed on his head as Starsaber eventually succeeded in knocking Deathsaurus to the ground. Grimlock had grown tired watching the two of them battle in the skies. Under the Antarctic ice cap, Grimlock and the other Dinobots resided in an underground jungle setting. In their tar cocoons, Grimlock and hundreds of other Dinobots were waiting to be activated and join the ranks of the Autobots. Grimlock was enlisted by Starsaber as support in a fight against Deathsaurus. While Starsaber watched, delighted with the conclusion of his cunning scheme, Grimlock gnawed on his head as Starsaber eventually succeeded in knocking Deathsaurus to the ground. Grimlock had grown tired watching the two of them battle in the skies. Under the Antarctic ice cap, Grimlock and the other Dinobots resided in an underground jungle setting. In their tar cocoons, Grimlock and hundreds of other Dinobots were waiting to be activated and join the ranks of the Autobots. Grimlock heard Blaster deliver a message from Megatron to the Autobot central office. The Autobots were ordered to surrender by Megatron when he revealed that he had kidnapped Sunstreaker. Indignant over the kidnapping of his twin Autobot, Sideswipe vowed to go and save Sunstreaker by himself. Grimlock dispatched Sludge and Slag to aid Sideswipe in his attempt to flee after warning him that he couldn't beat Devastator alone. The rescue effort was unsuccessful despite the strength of the Dinobot forces, thus the Autobots had to devise a new strategy. Optimus made the decision to use deception and gave the command to his Autobots to create a hollow effigy of Devastator that they could hide in. The statue was then rolled by Grimlock to the Decepticon corporate office. There, the wicked robots were tricked into believing they were safe by attaching a note claiming that the statue was a peace offering. The ambush and ensuing combat resulted in the Autobots' victory. Optimus ordered the Dinobots to hide inside his trailer and within the vehicle modes of his other troops when he learned through Cosmos that the Decepticons were raising a human town to make room for a fuel plant. This allowed him to approach the enemy covertly. The Dinobots were liberated and the other Autobots converted to fight the Decepticons once they were close enough to Shockwave and his henchmen. Grimlock snatched up Mixmaster and tipped him over, causing him to dump the quick-drying cement in his drum onto the other evil robots, trapping them after the others had beaten up the Decepticons and pushed them down a hole. Outside of Autobot City, Hot Rod came across Grimlock. The adolescent Autobot informed Grimlock that he was being pursued by a group of Decepticons as the rest of the Dinobots gathered around them. While the Dinobots engaged the Decepticons in combat, Hot Rod continued on into Autobot City to alert Ultra Magnus of the situation. Outside of Autobot City, Hot Rod came across Grimlock. The adolescent Autobot informed Grimlock that he was being pursued by a group of Decepticons as the rest of the Dinobots gathered around them. While the Dinobots engaged the Decepticons in combat, Hot Rod continued on into Autobot City to alert Ultra Magnus of the situation. The Decepticon flyers initially caught them off guard, but they quickly gained the upper hand in battle. Even Starscream was taken right out of the air by Grimlock. Galvatron took off toward the adjacent oil valley during the conflict in order to collect oil for himself, which Grimlock saw. Grimlock pursued him, and the two engaged in combat in the vicinity of the oil drilling site. Galvatron was attacked by Grimlock while he was using an oil tower as a bat. Galvatron fled within Cyclonus, but not before Grimlock struck him with the tower, and the Autobots were welcomed back to Autobot City by the oil rig workers. At Mount St. Hilary, Grimlock took part in a conflict for Energon cubes that was eventually won by Starscream by gobbling up all of the Energon. Hot Rod, Cup, and RC traveled into space with Grimlock and the other Dinobots. Cup cautioned Grimlock about overloading the ship, but Grimlock disregarded him since he didn't want to make a second journey. They ended up landing on the planet Quintessence after the ship malfunctioned. Wheelie met them there and forewarned them of the planet's wicked resident. They soon came across some Quintessence who ordered their Sharkticon soldiers to capture them. Any Quintessence unlucky enough to walk too close to him was snapped in half by Grimlock's formidable teeth. The ship Wheelie's parents originally piloted was used by the Autobots to leave the planet when the Quintessence were vanquished. When you, Ravage, and Laserbeak traveled through time to Earth's distant past, Grimlock and the rest of the Dinobots were there. The Decepticons' plot to attack the Autobots still dozing off on board the destroyed Ark caught the attention of the Dinobots, who immediately set out to stop them. You decide whether they were successful or not. In Hidden Valley, Grimlock and the other Dinobots were on guard duty. Grimlock was one of the Dinobots under the Insecticons' mind control, and Bombshell was able to ambush the group. Grimlock was left in Swoop's hands after being commanded by his new owner to attack both Autobots and humans. Swoop was the only Dinobot still capable of acting on his own volition. In the event that the Autobots decide to employ Mirage powers against the Dinobots, Grimlock and the other members of the subgroup are deceived into thinking Optimus is perched on the ledge of Bandit Bluff and rush the Autobot commander. The Dinobots are knocked unconscious by their fall and released from Bombshell's control after their intended target is shown to be a Mirage created by Mirage. There are two possible scenarios for the encounter between the Dinobots and the rest of the Autobots if the Autobots decide to use Windcharger's powers against them. When Windcharger uses his magnetic abilities too closely to the Dinobots, a strong magnetic field causes convulsions that eventually result in the death of Grimlock and the other Dinobots. The Cerebro shells are removed from the Dinobots without harm if Windcharger chooses to employ his magnetic abilities at a greater distance. Later, as the Autobots are enjoying their victory, Grimlock remembers Bombshell saying that the Insecticons' strategy did not include controlling the Dinobots. Bumblebee, Skids, and Sludge can be dispatched by Optimus to look into any electromagnetic activity in the area. Prowl advises sending Grimlock and his ilk as undercover operatives into the local Decepticon operation if he does so, and Skids returns to Autobot base after the Decepticons have abducted Bumblebee. The Decepticons are probably unaware that Bombshell is no longer in charge of the Dinobots, according to Prowl. If Optimus follows through with this strategy, Grimlock successfully bisects Frenzy after performing his part, and the Autobots triumph over the Decepticons thanks to the Dinobots' clever positioning. Grimlock is temporarily rendered blind by Track's Blackbeam pistol if the Autobots decide to simply and brutally attack the Dinobots. He then receives high-energy electron pulses from Sideswipe and Sunstreaker until his Cerebro shell separates from his body. Later, when Grimlock has regained control over his mind, he accuses the Autobots of relishing the destruction of him and his comrades. The Autobots merely mock him. If Swoop decides to confront Bombshell rather than returning to base after the Dinobots have become Bombshell slaves and destroys the insect icon, Grimlock and the other Dinobots are set free. No matter what further decisions are made along this route, Grimlock is clueless of what has happened because the mind control left his memory blank. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.